Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I'm Dr. Manpreet Arora from Central University of Himachal Pradesh, Dharamshala. Today we are going to talk about the module Foreign Exchange Management Act under the paper Business Environment. After completing this module, you'll be able to understand what is Foreign Exchange Management Act, you'll understand the objectives of FEMA, you'll learn about various definitions given under FEMA, and you will learn about the provisions of FEMA. When countries do bilateral trade with each other, they require money for the payment flow. Almost all of the international financial transactions they involve exchange of one currency with another. The ratio in which they are exchanged, they are called as exchange rates. Foreign exchange markets provide a mechanism which helps to exchange different monetary units for each other. Simply stating, foreign exchange markets are those markets where foreign exchange transactions take place. Here the national currencies are bought and sold against one another. The foreign exchange transactions were earlier regulated in India by Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, famously known as FERA 1973. This act helped to regulate many aspects of the conduct of business outside the country by Indian companies and in India by foreign countries. FERA was described as draconian, obnoxious law. The main aim of FERA was the conservation and effective utilization of foreign exchange resources of the country. When FERA was passed in the country, it was facing with severe foreign exchange crisis and it was a highly controlled regime. As we gradually grew towards achieving the objectives of liberalized economy, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act proved to be an obsolete act. Some of the amendments were made in 1993 to achieve the objectives of liberalization. But there was a huge demand to modify FERA substantially in the light of economic liberalization and improving the foreign exchange position of the country. Therefore, accordingly, a new act replaced FERA and it was known as FEMA. Foreign Exchange Management Act stands for FEMA 2000. FEMA is very important and a useful act applicable in India which regulates and controls the foreign exchange of the country. This act was passed in 1999 and it came into effect from 1st June 2000 to whole of the country. FEMA replaced the FERA, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. FEMA was most suitable for India corporate sector instead of FERA because almost all strict regulations of FERA were removed in FEMA. According to the official notification of FEMA 1999, it is an act to consolidate and amend the law relating to foreign exchange with the objective of facilitating external trade and the payments for promoting the orderly development and maintenance of foreign exchange market in India. It extends to whole of India. It also applies to all branches, offices and agencies outside India owned or controlled by a person resident in India, and also to any contribution there are under committed outside India, any person to whom this act applies. Contravention is the breach of provisions and norms under the Foreign Exchange Management Act, that is FEMA 1999. Compounding of contraventions refers to the process where the individual or the corporate entity can admit the contravention and seek redress from the Reserve Bank restricted to a specific sum. Regarding the objectives of FEMA, the main objective of FEMA is to facilitate foreign trade as well as payments. Another objective of FEMA is to promote, foster and encourage orderly development and maintenance of foreign exchange market. Let us discuss about some definitions of the important terms which are given in Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. In this act, unless the context otherwise requires, first is adjudicating authority. Adjudicating authority under this Act means an officer authorized under subsection 1 of section 16. Secondly, let us know what appellate tribunal under this Act is. Appellate tribunal means the appellate tribunal for foreign exchange established under section 18. This Act further defines about authorized person. According to this Act, authorized person means an authorized dealer, money changer, offshore banking unit, or any other person for the time being authorized under subsection 1 of section 10 to deal in foreign exchange or foreign securities. According to this Act, bench means a bench of appellate tribunal. This Act further gives the definition of capital account transactions. Capital account transaction means a transaction which alters the assets or liabilities, including contingent liabilities, outside India of persons resident in India, or assets or liabilities in India of persons resident outside India. And it also includes transactions referred to in subsection 3 of section 6. Further, chairperson has been defined. According to this Act, chairperson means the chairperson of appellate tribunal. In this Act, currency has been defined also. Currency according to this Act means and includes all currency notes, postal orders, money orders, checks, drafts, traveller checks, letters of credit, bills of exchange, and promissory notes, credit cards, or such other similar instruments as may be notified by the central bank. And according to this Act, currency notes means and includes cash in the form of coins and bank notes. Further, in Foreign Exchange Management Act, the definition of current account transaction has been given. And it means a transaction other than a capital account transaction. Such transaction includes the following. Number 1 comes under current account transaction is the payments which are due in connection with the foreign trade, other than current business, services, and short-term banking and credit facilities in the ordinary course of business. Secondly, under current account transaction comes the payments which are due as interest on loans and as net income from the investments. Thirdly, in current account transactions, all the remittances for living expenses of parents, spouse, and children residing abroad are also included. Fourthly, all the expenses which are done in connection with the foreign travel, education, and medical care of parents, spouse, children are included. Further, under Foreign Exchange Management Act, the definition of foreign currency is also given. And according to this Act, foreign currency means any currency other than Indian currency. Further, foreign exchange has been defined. According to Foreign Exchange Management Act, foreign exchange means foreign currency and it includes, firstly, all deposits, credits, and balances payable in foreign currency. Secondly, it includes drafts, traveller checks, letters of credit, or bills of exchange, which are expressed or drawn in Indian currency but payable in any foreign currency. Thirdly, it includes drafts, traveler checks, letters of credit, or bills of exchange, which are drawn by the banks, institutions, or persons outside India but payable in Indian currency. Foreign Exchange Management Act also gives the definition of foreign security. According to this act, foreign security means any security in the form of shares, stocks, bonds, debentures, or any other instrument denominated or expressed in foreign currency and includes securities which are expressed in foreign currency, but where the redemption or any form of such return, such as interest or dividends, is payable in Indian currency. Foreign Exchange Management Act has also been throwing light on the definition of person. According to the definition of person, it includes an individual, a Hindu undivided family, a company, a firm, an association of persons or a body of individuals, whether incorporated or not. Further, every artificial jurisdictional person not falling within any of the preceding subclauses, and it also includes any agency, office, or branch owned and controlled by such persons. The Foreign Exchange Management Act has also given the definition of repatriation to India. Repatriate to India, according to Foreign Exchange Management Act, means bringing into India the realized foreign exchange and the selling of such foreign exchange to an authorized person in India in exchange for rupees, or the holding of realized amount in an account with an authorized person in India to the extent notified by Reserve Bank, and includes the use of realized amount for discharge of a debt or liability denominated in foreign exchange, and the expression repatriation shall be construed accordingly. This act also tells us about the word transfer. According to the FEMA Act, transfer includes sale, purchase, exchange, mortgage, pledge, gift, loan, or any other form of transfer of right, title, possession, or lien. Let us discuss about the dealings in foreign exchange. Section 3 of FEMA Act has imposed so many restrictions and limitations on the dealings of foreign exchange. No one can deal in or transfer any foreign exchange or foreign security to any person who is not an authorized person. No person can make any payment to person resident outside India. He cannot even transfer for the credit of any person resident outside India in any manner except with the permission of RBI. Any person in India can receive any foreign exchange only through authorized persons permitted by RBI. Any payment by order or on behalf of any person resident outside India in any manner can be done with the permission of RBI only. Even no person can enter into any financial transaction in India as consideration for or in association with acquisition or creation or transfer of a right to acquire any asset outside India by any person except with the permission of RBI. Regarding holding of the foreign exchange, etc., except otherwise provided to this Act, no person who is resident of India shall acquire, hold, own, possess, or transfer any foreign exchange, foreign security, or any immovable property situated outside India. Regarding current account transactions, FEMA permits sale or drawing of foreign exchange from any authorized person only if it is related with current account transactions. But however, central government reserves right to impose any restrictions on such account transactions in consultation with RBI, keeping in view the public interest. About the capital account transactions, according to the provisions of subsection 2, any person may sell or draw foreign exchange to or from any authorized person for a capital account transaction. However, the Reserve Bank may, in consultation with the central government, specify, restrict, or declare any class or classes of capital account transactions which are permissible. Even RBI can also notify timely the limit up to which the foreign exchange shall be admissible for such transactions. The Act states that the Reserve Bank shall not impose any restriction on the drawal of foreign exchange payments due on account of amortization of loans or any depreciation of direct investments in the ordinary course of business. The Reserve Bank may also by regulations prohibit, restrict or regulate 1. The transfer or issue of any foreign security by a person resident in India. 2. Transfer or issue of any security by a person resident outside India. 3. Transfer or issue of any security or foreign security by any branch, office or agency in India of a person resident outside India. D. Any borrowing or lending in rupees in whatever form or by whatever name called. Any borrowing or lending in rupees in whatever form or by whatever name called between a person resident in India and a person resident outside India. Deposits between the persons resident in India and persons resident outside India. And export, import, or holding of the currency or currency notes. It includes transfer of immovable property outside India other than a lease not exceeding 5 years by a person resident in India, acquisition or transfer of immovable property in India other than a lease not exceeding 5 years by a person resident outside India, giving a guarantee or a surety in respect of any debt, obligation, or other liability incurred by a person resident in India and owed to a person resident outside India or by a person resident outside India. A person who is resident in India may hold, own, transfer, or invest in foreign currency, foreign security, or any immovable property situated outside India if such currency, security, or property was acquired, held, or owned by such person where he was resident outside India or inherited from a person who was resident outside India. That means the origin of such foreign currency was outside India when he was resident outside India or it was inherited from a person resident outside India. In the same manner, a person resident outside India may hold, own, transfer, or invest in Indian currency, security, or a immovable property situated in India if such currency, security, or property was acquired, held, or owned by such person when he was resident in India or inherited from a person who was resident in India. Without prejudice to the provisions of this Act, the RBI may, by regulation, prohibit, restrict, or regulate establishment in India of a branch, office, or other place of business by a person resident outside India for carrying out any activity relating to such branch, office, or any other place of business. Export of goods and services. This Act states that every exporter of the goods shall have to furnish to the Reserve Bank or to such other authority a declaration in such form or in the prescribed manner, true or correct material, particulars of the export of goods and services. It should furnish the details, including the amount representing the full export value. If, at the time of export, the full value of the goods is not ascertainable, then the value which the goods expect to receive at the time of sale, according to the prevailing market conditions, should be furnished to the competent authority or RBI. The exporter may have to furnish to RBI all such other information as may be required by the Reserve Bank for the purpose of ensuring the realization of export proceeds by such exporter timely. The Reserve Bank may, if deems fit, instruct any exporter to comply with requirements of furnishing all the details pertaining to the value of goods according to the prevailing market conditions without any delay. Every exporter of the services shall have to furnish to the Reserve Bank or to such other authorities a declaration in such a form and in such a manner that may be specified, containing the true and correct material particulars in relation to the payments of such services. The provisions export of goods and services are covered under Section 7. Every exporter of the goods will have to furnish to Reserve Bank of India or any other competitive authority a declaration in such manner which has been prescribed. For the purpose of ensuring the realization of export proceeds by any such exporters will have to furnish RBI all such information which has been required by the competent authority to prescribe. Moreover, every exporter of the services shall have to furnish to RBI or other competitive authorities a declaration in such form and in the manner prescribed. The Reserve Bank, for the purpose of securing compliance with the provisions of this Act and of any regulations, rules, notifications, or directions made thereunder, give to the authorized persons any directions in regard to making of payment or doing or stopping or from doing any act relating to the foreign exchange or security. Let us discuss about realization and repatriation of foreign exchange. Same as otherwise provided in this Act, where any amount of foreign exchange is due or has accrued to any person resident in India, such person shall take all reasonable steps to realize and repatriate to India such foreign exchange within such period and in such manner as may be specified by Reserve Bank. Exemption from realization and repatriation in certain cases. Under certain cases, this Act provides exemption from realization and repatriation, which are listed as: any person can possess foreign currency or foreign up to such limit as the Reserve Bank may specify. If RBI specifies and permits any such person or class of persons, then they can hold or operate foreign currency account up to the limit prescribed. Foreign exchange acquired or received before the 8th day of July 1947 or any income arising, or accruing thereon, which is held outside India by any person, can be held only in pursuance of a general or a special permission granted by RBI. If any foreign exchange was acquired by way of gift or inheritance from a person referred to in the clause C, including any income arising therefrom, it can be held up to the limit specified by RBI. Foreign exchange acquired from employment, business, trade vocation, services, honorarium, gifts, inheritance, or any other legitimate means can be held up to the limit as the Reserve Bank may specify. And such other receipts in foreign exchange as the Reserve Bank may specify. Let us know about the main features of FEMA. FEMA replaced Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1973, famously known as FERA, which regulated the foreign exchange transactions in India. FEMA applies to whole of India, and it also applies to all branches, offices, and agencies outside India owned and controlled by a person resident in India. The main objective of FEMA is to facilitate external trade and payments and to promote the orderly development and maintenance of foreign exchange market. RBI vests the power to administer this act. The FEMA empowers the central government to impose restrictions on the dealings in foreign exchange and foreign security and payments to and receipts from any person outside India. This act imposes restrictions on persons resident in India on acquiring, holding, or owning foreign exchange, foreign security, and immovable property abroad, and on transfer of foreign exchange or security abroad. Let us summarize the topic before I finish. This act is more transparent than FERA. Most of the provisions relating to the dealings of foreign exchange require specific permissions of Reserve Bank of India on acquisition and holdings of foreign exchange. This act classifies the foreign exchange transactions in two categories, that is, capital account and current account transactions. It provides power to RBI that in consultation with the central government, the classes of various transactions and limits of such transactions can be fixed. This act is a civil law, and the contraventions of the act provide for civil consequences, except in certain cases. FEMA does not apply to Indian citizens resident outside India. Although selling or drawing of foreign exchange is done through authorized people, and Reserve Bank of India is empowered by this act to subject the capital account transactions to number of restrictions. FERA was an old enactment which was repealed, and a new enactment, FEMA 1999, was passed. It's a small enactment with 49 sections and a very liberal act as compared to FERA. Section 5 of FEMA states that, otherwise provided in this act, no person who is a resident of India can acquire or hold, own, possess, or transfer any of the foreign exchange, foreign security, or any immovable property which is situated outside India. The Reserve Bank may at any time cause an inspection to be made at any office of the RBI specially authorized in this behalf for the purpose of verifying the correctness of the statement, information, or particulars which are furnished to RBI. For the purpose of carrying out an inspection to be made by any officer of the business of any authorized person for securing the compliance with the provision of this act or of any rule, regulation, directions, or orders made thereunder. Thank you.